introduced ID Shield when we introduced ID Shield in 2003, that started a new era, putting us in that world. When Performance Club was introduced long ago, that started a new era because Performance Club became so important. When MidOcean acquired the company and took it private, that became a whole new era where we got introduced to Rip Mason and Alan Fernley. And then a few years ago, when we were acquired again, at double the price of that earlier acquisition, started a new era with new ownership, and Jeff Bell came on board. And this weekend started a new era. I'm going to talk more about that later, but I want to start tonight by saying welcome to the new era of Legal Shield. It's the most exciting times in this company's history, and I know you've heard me, if you've been around a long time, you've heard me say that many times. You've heard Jeff Bell say it. We heard Harlan Stonecipher say it. We heard Rip Mason say it. We've been hearing that, but the fact is that's what happens when you continue to develop. And this is an absolutely amazing time as we enter this new era. So what we're going to do tonight, for those who have been around, we're going to do what we always do coming out of a convention, and we're going to hear from how people were impacted or influenced. It's your opportunity to speak tonight. Just keep in mind, we're not looking for you to train. We're not looking for you to share the 8 things this person said and your notes. What we're listening for is your heart. How is your heart impacted? How is your mind impacted? What difference has it made in you as a person? And you know that we can change in a weekend. We can even take something in virtually and change in a weekend. We can change in a day. And so a lot of us are changed, whether you were there in person or virtually. So what we're going to do is start with the people who were there in person. And then we're going to hear from those who were virtual. Then I'm going to go out to Mr. Timmer Halligan as a Millionaire Club member to hear his kind of big picture comments. And then I've got comments, and then we'll wrap this up. But we're not going to put a time frame on it right now because we absolutely want to open it up so you can speak, but do be aware of the time. And again, don't train what you were trained on. Tell us how you were impacted, influenced, what it means for you going forward, having taken in this weekend. If you did not take in the weekend, be prepared to jot notes and take in what you're about to hear. So with that, who was at the event live that would like to go ahead and start and comment? And I'm looking at hands raised. I saw Jane Lehman. I see Ted. I see Danny. I see Robert. Various people raising their hands. Jane Lehman, let's go ahead and start with you. You're still out there.
I'm still out here, John. Thank you. Good. And wow. I mean, wow. That's all I have to say. Wow. No, I'm kidding. The first day, I didn't hear this later. So I'd really, it's just information. And it was from Jeff Bell. And one of the things he said that really struck home with me, because I haven't done it yet, is reputation management. If we haven't taken advantage of using the reputation management, because now Legal Shield is equal to Norton LifeLock. Norton LifeLock is huge. We are equal to that. Plus we have reputation management and we are cheaper, more cost effective. Sorry, said that wrong. So that's one, that's just the informative part. Don Thompson said, we've got to stop playing small. That hit home for me in so many things this weekend. Jane, stop playing small. We are huge. Another thing, John, I showed your book, and Penny had her book, and several, I know Ted did. I showed your book all over the place, and I showed this afternoon. We were sitting next to the Mannings at lunch. They just happened to be in the same restaurant, and I said, I got to do this, and I grabbed the book and walked over to their table. John, I was prospecting. Why wasn't I asking them to join Legal Shield? And I showed them the book, and they said, yeah, that's going to be our next team's book. So they're reading a book in their team. And I was like, wait a minute, I'm a Success Partners. This is John Drennan's book. Why are we not reading this book together? Hint, hint, John. And there's one other thing that really hit home for me, and I have to read it. It's a quote. And that quote was, the chains of habit are too light to be felt until they are too heavy to be broken. and I'll say it again because I see people writing, the chains of habit are too light to be felt until they are too heavy to be broken. That was huge for me. So back to you, John.
You did turn it over to
Hey,
me.
Jane, will you put that in the chat?
Yeah.
Yes.
And I know I heard that last night. I think it was Darnell that said that. Whoever said it, I didn't have a chance to write it down. I knew I'd hear it again. I thought
It was
that
Brian Crothers.
Brian Crothers. Okay, I thought that was incredible.
And should I pass this over to Penny since she's right here?
Not yet, not yet,
Not yet.
Not yet.
Oh, okay.
not yet. So a couple things. First of all, I hope people caught how Jane caught herself on the language. She used the us being cheap, and then she goes, not cheap, inexpensive. Our language matters, and that's an example of paying attention, catching yourself, growing. Jane knows better. She knows cheap. People hear cheap, and what do you think? You think cheap. But when you hear affordable, less expensive, inexpensive, that's a different meaning for people. So great job there, Jane. Also, she mentioned the Mannings. You know, Pat and Christine Mannings are good friends of mine. They're here in the New England area, based in outstate New York. And I knew they had access to my book because I asked them if they would read it before it was out, just for, you know, to be out in front of it. I had no idea they were going to make it their next team read. So thank you for that, Jane. And with that, okay, you are there with Penny Manning. So yeah, let's stay in your room and then we'll move around here. So Penny, go ahead and introduce
Hi.
yourself.
Penny Manning, Trenton, Michigan, currently in Phoenix. And oh my gosh, this, they say, you know, your head to your heart. Well, this really, I got the feel of this convention as we aren't doing enough. And I don't mean enough business, but we aren't doing enough to explain to people how important this is. Everybody needs it. They just, I don't even know. I don't want, they drove it home that we have to get out there and tell people, stop sitting on our butts. Get out there,
Stop
tell
playing
them. We must take care of our people. And the way to do that is to talk to them, build those relationships, and then tell them how important it is, help them see how important it is for them to take on our services. I don't know that it's quite good, but there you go.
So Penny, it was, let's keep the camera on
Yes,
Penny.
sir.
And Penny, it was obvious you are impassioned and got moved by that. So I'm going to ask you to personalize it. Take what you just said, but say it a little differently and say it this way. I am not doing enough.
Oh, I am not doing enough, but
Say I
going
need,
forward,
say I need to do more.
I need to do more.
Okay, and do y'all recognize the difference? Because the we was, we like, we can individually get lost in the we. We're one tree in a forest.
Exactly so.
But the
Exactly
fact is,
so.
every one of us needs to make a decision based on where we're at and where we want to go, based on how we were impacted. So take that obvious impact that we're all feeling, Penny, and personalize it. What's Penny going to do? Okay.
Well,
Great
up until
comment.
now, Penny, up until now, Penny has not done nearly enough, but I will do whatever it takes and more, no matter what.
And define whatever it takes for what, whatever it takes to do what. Define that for yourself. You don't need to do it now, but for all of us,
okay.
fill in the blank for all of us. What does that
Yeah.
mean? You know, to quantify it,
How do you mean?
Yeah.
quantify it over a period of time. it could quantify it in terms of families you're going to help, businesses you're going to help, companies you're going to help, individuals you're going to help, entrepreneurs you're going to help set up, premium you're going to bring in, money you're going to bring in, because you know they're all related. The more people you help, the more money you make. The more premium you bring in, the more money you make. The more premium you bring in, the more people you've helped. The more people on your team who performance club, the more people you've helped. It's all interconnected. Okay, Danny.
Can I drop one
Danny,
little?
I'm sorry, go ahead. Penny?
Yeah, I just want to drop one little tip that really, really makes me understand better every call I make. Tony Petrell showed us, you know, when you have your piece of paper and you got a column for your hash marks for your phone calls, and then how many people answered, and then how many meetings you set. Based on his ratio, every hashtag he makes that is a call is worth $20 to him because of where he will reach when he makes that appointment. And just in my mind, quantifying each call with a dollar amount made me really, really understand that I am doing work. I am being productive. Each time I pick up that phone, it's $10 or it's $15. And I just wanted to share that, hoping that maybe that will resonate with someone else.
Yeah, and the fact is, over time, as you build a business and an income, you can go back and find those ratios, but you're absolutely right about that. Okay, Danny Godin, we got to keep moving. You're up.
I wanted to get in here because I may have to book it to the airport. So, you know, it was an interesting experience for me, completely different. I have attended conventions, every convention for the past 11 years. And I realized I was a fly on the wall for a really long time. And coming here as an executive director for the first time, people knew me who I didn't know knew me. And I was like, what? And so that was a new experience. And then I hope Robert shares this story, so I won't steal his thunder. But, you know, I got to sit and chat with him at one of the meetings after the meetings, the meet and greet with the Hoffmans. And I had a really good conversation with him and connected with him in ways that I haven't connected with people in a long time. And I got to coach him a little bit. And that was really, really meaningful to me, that Robert looked up enough to me to coach him. And that's what really stuck with me this convention. And I wish there were so many more people here. I mean, I got to see and hug so many people, and that was just, it's amazing how much you miss that until you have it again. And that was more what was powerful to me this convention. I mean, I took many notes, and I was blessed to sit next to John Hoffman in the third row the entire time, which was just a whole nother experience as well. And but definitely just realizing that people were looking up to me for once, and I was like, this is so different. And I was able to not be a fly on the wall, and that was huge to me.
So, and that's so great. You know, when you do it, you get the attention, and you've done it. And so, Danny, you also attended the ED Gala, right?
I did, yes.
That wasn't like eating at McDonald's, was it?
No, not at all. That was powerful. And I mean, I was even recognized by many people there, and I was just floored because, you know, some of them I have looked up to for years. So to not be a fly on the wall was a different experience. And also being at the level we're at, every note that I took, everything that I learned came in differently. You know, they say the reason that you read a book more than once is because you've grown since the last time you read it. Well, since the last live convention, I've grown a lot, and these words meant a lot different to me this time.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, congratulations. You know, I saw pictures of you and Tim. You look great. You know, that just brought back so many memories of the galas, the ED banquets. And so kudos on being there. And you did mention Robert, and I know Robert had waved his hands. Robert, let's go to you and see what you've got to say.
For the longest while, I have known that my why was not strong enough. And so I set the intention before this convention to develop a stronger why. And as Danny said, we sat together at that meet and greet with the Hoffmans. And I started asking her, what I could do, how I could proceed, because I realized that I was a ship without a sail and a rudder. So I needed both motivation and some steerage. And she got me to dig a little deeper. And in that digging, I realized that I have been screwing around, basically. And one of the things that came out of the Eric Thomas presentation was Legal Shield is done 50% of the work, get out and do the rest of it. And I realized that, in my life, I have gone from being on the wrong side of the tracks to becoming a professional engineer to being looked up to because of my integrity and my abilities. And that had just not come through in my Legal Shield career. And so that was what I decided that I needed to do, that I needed to get out there and do more, because regardless of the outcome of Catherine's situation, it's up to me. And, who else can it be? But it has to be me. So, yeah, it was an amazing experience. And thank you, Danny, and thank you, Mike, for the drive out. Back to you, Mr. Brennan.
Great comments here, Robert. And obviously you can tell, how Robert was impacted just from what he was talking about and accepting that coaching from Danny, which was really good. You could hear that. And he used the word decision. And then he talked about if not him, who? Now I'm paraphrasing, but if not him, who? No one's going to do it for any one of us. It's all a decision we all make. And I know there are a lot of things to drive that idea home. Eric Thomas's concept of Legal Shield's done half. Now we independently each do our half. I thought was brilliant and right on. Okay, who else was there live that would like to comment? I see Ted Wilson's hand go up. Go ahead, sir. You're muted, Ted.
Yeah, I had to unmute. I'm down to my fifth or fourth comments, because what the other people have talked about are some things that struck me. My fifth comment is the compensation plan that they rolled out. I was there when we rolled out the identity theft. I was there when we became Legal Shield instead of Prepaid Legal. I think that this new compensation plan and the way John Hoffman interpreted it at our breakout today, what is probably the biggest game changer in a long, long time. There's the money factor, but there's the pride factor. And the more people that we bring in, that we show this, we are looking at the people who really need this. We are looking at the people who really want to make this company grow and get better. And that's what this compensation plan did. I had a number of salespeople that said, well, really isn't that good money. Boy, those people are the good ones, are going to grab a hold of this and take off. And by the way, showing up made all the difference in the world for me. I've been on Zoom before, and that's great, but being there in person made all the difference, and especially at the breakout. So I encourage everyone to, before this call is, right after this call is over, we're going to talk, I'm sure you're going to talk about the $50 50th anniversary, and make sure that you get on that and get your tickets for that, because we all need to be there next April 7th through 10th, without question. John, back to you.
Okay, thanks so much, Ted. And I do, for each of you who speak, personalize it. I hear Ted's, promotion, and I absolutely agree with you, Ted. I want to make sure we're all saying, I will be there in Oklahoma City. And of course, if you were there in Phoenix, you've already registered. I get that. Okay. Who's next that was live at the event? Anyone else who was at the event who wants to speak? Okay, next we're going to those who took the event in virtually. Who'd like to go first?
Brenda Daniels, Louisville, Kentucky, background professional golf and caregiving. John, when I heard that Eric Thomas is going to be our speaker, I had not heard of him. I Googled him, and for me, one of my things is auditory. His sound was a turnoff to me. Just he's loud, but wow, I'm so glad he was there. What he said resonated with me. And it's about time, and that was the theme of the conference. Our time is now, and he really had us focusing on, or at least for me, how much time we have left. What age how long do I want to live, and what am I going to do moving forward? Till my ticket's up, and we can't say later, because we don't know when later is, and all we have is now. So it was phenomenal. I didn't get on till Friday about 2:20, but I was with all day Friday night and all day Saturday, and Zoom, I could really focus on the speakers. I could take great notes, but guess what? I couldn't feel the energy like being there. So it was phenomenal, and I'm glad that, I showed up. Back to you.
Yeah, and so, there's advantages to being there. The in-person, the things like the breakout. And by the way, if you're new to Legal Shield, after conventions, our teams do breakouts where teams come together and kind of unpack everything we saw and heard and make it more real for everybody before they go home. And the breakouts are always, to me, every bit as important as any part of the event. It's kind of the last session of the event. And so you miss all that. Now, the advantages, obviously, is there were people who were able to attend virtually who couldn't go to Phoenix. And the issues of, of course, COVID still is on people's minds, but some people, because of children and work and bosses and money, and become reasons not to go, and it's costly not to go. Yet Brenda was still able to take in so much powerful information. So who's next that attended virtually?
Carol Escher, Gregory, Michigan. I don't think anyone could have closed out the convention better than Don Thompson did. It was personal, and he brought it home. He explained his personal tragedy and what Legal Shield did for his family, and especially his son. And it's kind of like, if you don't have a bad back, you can't have sympathy. Well, if you haven't had a serious issue, you don't know what the other person has ever gone through. And he drilled that home, and besides giving us tips about what a good leader is. It was an incredible ending to a 2-day event. And one of the aha kind of cute moments that I had earlier in the convention was somebody was talking about being imperfect. I can't tell you which speaker was talking about it. He says, if you break that word down, you can break it down to I'm perfect. If you spell the word out, imperfect, you can break the first two letters out of it and say, I'm perfect. And that was, it was a flip to what you can actually believe in yourself. So back to you, Jen.
Oh, those are great comments. You know, I agree with you, Carol. As Don Thompson was sharing that story, you know, my wife and I have used Legal Shield almost 300 times in 23 years, but never for anything like what he was talking about, that, you know, his son might be under investigation after his fiance died suddenly from an illness. And, you know, that shook me a bit. And I'll share this story because I was there and I'm able to share it. But if you heard Don Thompson, you heard him tell his story, how he owned his retail shop and it didn't make it. And they went all in Legal Shield. They had like a 2-year-old and a baby on the way, and we're trying to make it work. Well, I was there. I was in he was in the Toledo, Ohio area, and I was in Ann Arbor, Michigan, which is about an hour north of Toledo. I had a big team in Toledo, and when TPN was acquired by Prepaid Legal, I was doing a lot of training in the region and got to know Don. And I ended up doing a training in the basement of his apartment when he had the 2-year-old. And he and Angela, and you know, at that point, I think they were maybe 26. And they were so focused. He was so focused. They were so determined. And there were maybe 6 associates at that training. And I just watching him, I thought, God, who'd have ever thought that this guy was going to end up being the president of the networking division, but also just so incredible. And so anyhow, I thought that story would interest you all. Okay, who's next? Who attended virtually? I see Linda. Go ahead. Linda
Good
Beck.
evening, everyone. Linda Beck, Morris, Illinois. What I got out of this was everybody kept going back to, you need to build. We need to build. Steve and I need to build. Whether it was Darnell or Elizabeth or Brian, it was always going back, we need to build. And yes, they said Legal Shield is doing 50% of the work. You just need to do the rest, and that's what you need to do. So that's my input. Back to you.
And Linda, that's a great comment. There were different reasons they were saying in that, but most of it had to do with leverage. You know, Don Thompson used his story to talk about the mission and the value of the membership, but then pivoted and talked about what this business has done for he and his wife. As he talked about, there have been a lot of ups and downs and difficulties, but they live life on their terms. Lynn and my wife and I went down to Florida a few winters ago and spent some time near where they live, and we ended up going to dinner with them and going out on their boat on the ocean, and we saw dolphins swimming along the boat, and like they do that regularly. Their life is just amazing. And so that contrast of going from where they were to where they are, because they did what Linda's talking about, built. And I want to say this because it's such an important concept in Legal Shield. We all say things to ourselves like, well, I don't, you know, I live in a rural area, so I'm not in the big city, or I don't know that many people, or I'm shy, or I don't have a lot of money to do stuff, or whatever our things are that are limiting. We can recruit people that are the opposite. If you're shy, recruit someone who's outgoing. If you're broke, recruit somebody who's not. You know, if you don't have a car, recruit someone who does. Darnell talked about that, how Michael Humes got him a phone because he couldn't get one. You know, if you feel like you don't know people, recruit people do. If you live in the woods, recruit people live in the cities. Now you might say, well, I don't know those people. Here's the power of this business. It's not who you know, it's who they know. So you recruit somebody who recruits someone who's not shy, who recruits someone who lives in the city, who, et cetera. So that's the way our business works, because it's a business of geometric multiplication, not arithmetic adding. And that's why nobody's left out here, because you can always recruit somebody who recruits your weakness. Okay, who's next? Someone who attended virtually. Steve Beck, go ahead.
Well, I want to, excuse me, I want to elaborate a little bit on what Linda just said. We both came out of the convention realizing that if we're going to get to where we want to go, the quickest way for us to go is to build a team. And in past conventions, I always came out of it, you know, there were always a lot of great nuggets that I came out of them with, but I also had this underlying nagging feeling of, man, they're pushing the recruiting. And I'm just not comfortable doing that. I just want to sell memberships. And for some reason, I didn't have that reaction this time around. I'm kind of glad that Timmer has his video off, because he's probably rolling his eyes and saying, I've told him that at least 50 times. And now he hears it from somebody else, and now he sees it. So sorry about that, Timmer, but I do listen to some of the things you say. And one of the things that I've heard you say is that the best associates are happy members. So part of our plan is we're going to sit down tomorrow, go through our membership list, and eventually we'll contact them all, but we'll prioritize. And we're going to look at them with the idea of, would these people be good associates, or can they point us to people who would be good associates? And we're going to try that out and see how that goes. The other thing, I already warned Danny, but I do not
We're
see
gonna
myself
more than
as-
try it out. Sorry, I had to say that.
Thanks. Yes, she's right. I'm used to her correcting me, so it's, you know, nothing new when it's on a Zoom. But anyway, I've already talked to Danny, and we're going to reach out to those of you on the team who have shown that you are much better recruiters than we are. That's not a very high bar to exceed. So we're going to be basically reaching out to the team, looking for help and guidance, and asking us how we can get where we need to go. Back to you, John.
And first, I commend you on that mindset. And I want to comment on that. You all know enough what to do. It's really just start contacting people and inviting people. And generally, when we do a lot of activity, we can self-determine where it breaks down. I remember in my first months in this business, when I was inviting people, I could tell when I was losing them. And I realized, oh, I was talking too much, or I needed third party, or I started to explain it. I was violating what I had learned. And you all know this stuff. So if you do enough of it, you can literally figure out where it's breaking down for you and grow in that moment. So just think about that. It's not a time to spend a lot of time getting ready to get ready. It's a time to just pop and start talking to people. And talking can mean texting, it can mean emailing, it can mean all kinds of communication. Okay, who else virtually attended?
Bridget Paquette Parker from Gaylord, Michigan. And I believe one of when Mike Humes came on, he said, Michaela and I are the best of buddies. And ever since she was 3 years old, I've gone to everything that she's ever needed me to go to. And I was the only father on the bus when all the others were mothers. So that was just kind of cool. You know, it's everybody's own journey. And I've been in it 2 different times, different companies. But, you know, I was where I needed to be, and that was with my husband for his surgery. And, you know, I knew I couldn't see John because him and Lynn weren't going personally. But Don and Ellen Wilson, I couldn't see them, and Tony and his wife, Colleen, and Lisa and John and the Hoffmans. And then when I realized I wasn't at the breakout this morning, I literally cried before church service. And that's because I have Legal Shield in my heart, and I'll always have Legal Shield. And I'm going ED, and I want to walk across stage in April as a new ED. So, and we'll be spending the winter in Gulf Shore, so I'll be able to rest and build right there in Alabama. Back to you.
Hey, Bridget, will you say this? I'm becoming an executive director,
I'm becoming an executive director.
which is stronger than going ED. You're becoming
Okay.
ED. So good for you. And, Bridget, isn't it great in your case and so many others that you had the virtual option?
It was a blessing.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
feel that way too. And so there have
Yeah.
been many, many times where people missed events because of accidents, surgeries, births, illnesses. But wow, if they could have sat in their hospital room or their office or their bedroom and taken it in. So that's
Right.
so awesome. Okay, who else attended virtually? Anybody else?
Annette Selvar, Gulfport, Mississippi. What Bridget said about being at her heart, oh gosh, I'm going to cry. This convention gave me back my confidence and my posture about this company, because what we do really matters. The membership matters, the opportunity matters. The people that were walking across that stage, men, women, there was every race, every faith, socioeconomic backgrounds. This company made a difference to them. And it doesn't matter who they are. It just really made a difference. And the stories that were told about the membership, the ID Shield stories, the ID Shield for business, it really levels the playing field for small businesses, and our legal plan. So I have a new posture that I'm going out today. Today, I had a new posture about Legal Shield. Back to you.
Well, Ned, as you're talking there, that really hits on to me. I think the number one thing I love about Legal Shield is the diversity and the acceptance, and that we're all going the same direction. I believe if our country could nationally reflect Legal Shield, it would change the entire country and change the world. People cheering one another regardless of age, gender, race, faith, sexual preference, all those things. That's all called being human. None of that matters. Here's what matters, just going forward in a good direction. And that's what Legal Shield's about. All right. Anybody else who was there virtually other than Timmer? Well, Timmer, I got to believe you got a whole lot to say. I know you do. And I want people to listen to Timmer, because this is somebody who's made well in excess of $1 million. And there's always insights that sometimes get missed when somebody with his experience is talking. So really listen for the nuggets here. Timmer, I'm eager to hear you reflect on the event. Over to you.
Well, first of all, wow, right? I think everybody that had an opportunity to participate in all different ways and shapes and forms, I'm glad the company, gave that option for everybody. And, I think that the energy that was felt, if you take a look at the speakers in general, that day one talking about taking care of your whole self, that was important. At first you're sitting there listening and you're thinking, what are they setting you up for? And why is that so important to our company, that we are the best versions of ourselves in all different ways of life? And I felt like that just really laid the groundwork for where we're getting ready to go to. I think that coming out of this convention, and, one of the associates, I believe it was Brian Carruthers, that talked about, how your life can change in 5 years. Isn't it amazing how quick 5 years really comes and goes? I'm in my 17th year, and I can remember the kind of the 5-year journeys that I've been on, and really the amount of things that really enhanced in that 5-year period. And so it really got me thinking, okay, I'm 53. What am I going to be at when I'm 58? That's my next 5-year journey. And I think everybody needs to say, okay, let me add that 5 years on to what I am right now. And you're going to be around. That's just what you tell yourself. But what can you get done in that 5-year period? I remember the Hoffmans put together this exercise many years ago. If you're at some of our summer blasts, where they did it very similar. They had the long string and they brought it out and they said, measure out 5 years of your life. And then to hear it again this weekend, I heard it differently. And that really got me thinking. And then when you think about the thoughts behind the compensation plan that the company has put together, Linda and Steve, you hit it dead on. You said build Build is what you need to do. I loved, listen, the things that they have done with this compensation plan are for the people that are on this line right now. If you do the things that you are supposed to do, they took some of the commissions, at the very, very beginning, but with the overall for a senior associate or go from associate to senior associate, it was still up 38%. They just put it in the form of bonuses now, right? And they've made the overrides significantly bigger for each and every person that's on this line right now. I see the people on here, and I see this opportunity when you think about where the company was and how they've given us this ability to exponentially grow. There's not a person on here that cannot reach executive director and beyond. Not a single person. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter how old you are. Doesn't matter what your background is. Doesn't matter any of that sort of stuff. And they've given us the fuel. Yes, they give us 50% of the opportunity, right? It's done. They do all the marketing. They get all the things together. We need to do the rest. And here's what you've got to get over. You need, your why needs more new people. That's really the mantra. Just think about that. New people. That's all we want to keep saying to ourselves right now is, do we have any new people that we're talking to? And those are the conversations you want to have with your associates. Do you have any new people that you're talking to? Because sometimes our list is the same old list that we've had for the last 2 or 3 years, and it's gotten maybe 1 or 2 more people onto it. But if we start thinking about new people, I love the fact that our pricing went up. People are like, why do you like the fact your pricing went up? Because it deserves to go up. It almost always sounded too good to be true, right? I mean, now you get up around $39 or $30 or so for the Legal Shield and a little over that for the ID Shield. And the power of the new ID Shield product, I got to figure it all out. I'm looking for somebody that's going to help us get that part figured out, but understand some of these new things that go along with it. But John, I'll going back to you. I've been to conventions ever since that time you convinced me to go to conventions, and I missed the first probably 5 or 6 years of my convention, and I don't miss it for anything. And this, to me, the most powerful message was delivered. What we really do matters. Are you hearing more and more our company speaking the mantra of our signature message? Something that we've been talking about since we developed that. I think it was 2014, maybe Mr. Trent, or 16, one of those two. We've been talking about what we do matters, and what we do matters. So we should be out in front with this stuff, guys. And so just keep telling yourself, new people, new people, new people. And Mr. Drennan, I'll send it back to you.
Yeah, thanks so much. We created that in 2014, and you're right. We hear more and more people say exactly the words, what we do matters. And so great comments, Timmer. And what you said about the 5 years, it's true for all of us. I'm 68. 5 years from now, I'm 73. So it's my decision on what I want that to look like. If you're 26, at 31, what is it you want to decide to do? And that time's going to go by no matter what. And this is an environment to truly make a difference while padding your own life and lifestyle, maybe earning some trips and just growing to a new place, regardless of your age or circumstances. And you're right, Timmer, new people. We can never get to a new level with the same people. And just understand that whatever level you're at, wherever you are, you can't get to the next one without new people. So new people is a great mantra. So, hey, I'm going to wrap up with some comments. First of all, Jane had suggested, gee, other teams are using my book as a book club. What about Success Partners? I want to put it out this way. I hope y'all get the book and read it. Some of you can, I think Danny had said she read it in a day. I've read it in 2 days. By the way, I've read it now 5 times because, yeah, I wrote it, but I forget I wrote stuff, and I go back and read it. I'm actually learning from it because I remind myself of things. So I'm just going to say, go ahead and read it and talk on the stretch calls or with each other about what you got from it. Use it as a textbook. There's so much in there. Secondly, I talked about this is a new era of Legal Shield. So what do I mean by that? Well, there's a few things. First of all, really our products are new. Things have been added to our product. We've got things today we didn't have a week ago. Our pricing is new. Our compensation is new. Specifically, the residual side is new. and so streamlined, and it's going to benefit people so much what they did there. We've got new resources. And, you know, we're in new times. We can build this business virtually. And I get the power of live events. But in terms of building the business day to day, it can be done virtually. And that's been proven out. That's not a theory. And that's another reason every single person here can build this business. So, and we're in a new era. And finally, to me, this new era has started, but the epicenter of this new era is going to be in April of 2022. I absolutely believe the event in Oklahoma City representing 50 years will be the biggest and most substantial and meaningful and significant event in 50 years of incredible events. So I know there's some things we're going to be talking about as a team going forward. We can't do it all tonight, but I want to start with one thing tonight, and that is for the next 6 months, we all devote toward having more people in Oklahoma City than we actually woke up today believing we could or would have. I'm going to challenge y'all to start thinking about how many people can you have there? How many people do you want to have there? Maybe you've got no team. So how many people between now and then, you know, can you get recruited and can plug in and want to be there? It's going to be so impactful. So the next 6 months, the primary theme is be in Oklahoma City with more people. And that means resurrecting inactive associates. It means promoting to the ones that maybe were virtual this time or didn't even do virtual. It means finding new people and growing the people you have in Oklahoma City, because that will directly impact the number of people you are helping, will help, and the money you're going to make. So, and I see in the chat there, you know, I heard years ago from Jeff Olson and Eric Worre, if you get 100 people to a big event, you'll earn 6 figures. Well, I did that, and it happened. Today in Legal Shield, I believe if you get 40 to 50 at a big event and they're in at least 3 different lines, you'll be executive director, well on your way to 6 figures. So just keep that in mind. Why not have 40 or 50 people there, even if you're just by yourself right now? And how's that happen? Well, you get started tonight, get started tomorrow, get it rolling, add your list, start inviting. And so with that, we're back on tomorrow morning with our morning stretch call, 8 a.m. Eastern time. Linda Beck, I know, has got a lot of energy for tomorrow, as she will be taking that spot Lee Perry had here for the next few weeks. I see you, Lee. I see you looking at me. And Linda on my screen's right below Lee. All right, so we'll be on there tomorrow morning. Everyone, you know, let's take advantage of this new era and really individually decide what you want, set your plan, and go to work. I look forward to tracking with each one of you. Take care. Good night. And oh,